Hello everyone. Thank you so much for being here and being here to be able to hear me present to you today. My name is Naomi Tucker, CMP. I'm a project manager at Humana in the Meeting and Event Planning Division. I'm also MPI Wisconsin Chapter President. I wanted to talk to you today on the subject of engaging your audience in a hybrid meeting. But first off, I do want to thank you for having me with you today via internet. But I really wished to be there and I couldn't. But I hope that you're having a wonderful time. I've heard that things are going very well for the opening session yesterday and then today. So definitely hope that you are really having a great experience today. So with that, I wanted to go ahead and let you know that today I am going to be presenting to you on how to engage an audience with hybrid meetings. And then I also wanted to let you know that I will be giving you about 7 steps to do that. So, but first things first, I wanted to let you know that MPI Wisconsin Chapter did a recent research and it was into hybrid meetings, and about 1,700 people were surveyed in the industry, and they said 70% of them said that hybrid meetings were important. And not all of them planned hybrid meetings, but I think it's really great to know that 70% of those respondents said that hybrid meetings were very important to a meeting. So that is showing that hybrid meetings are on the rise. They've been on the rise for the last several years, and now they're taking place in many different ways and formats. And it's very important for the meeting and event planner to be at the front end of the process, being knowledgeable of the process, being knowledgeable about the technology, and knowing how to engage attendees. Just as we engage attendees in the room and really create the experience for them in the room via trade show and via elements like centerpieces, we do need to make sure that that virtual audience as well is engaged, and it's very important. So I also wanted to let you know that they determined in that survey that there's generally 4 types of formats for hybrid meetings. So the first type is called broadcast, and that usually is when something similar to a CEO wanting to communicate a message to all the employees in the organization. It's a broadcast message. 62% of hybrid meetings happen with a broadcast message, and I think that's important to know because it really shows the trend of what people are trying to communicate, things that you're looking to broadcast out. Those are things that generally are happening. Another couple of other different, the other 3 types are connecting remote offices as well as remote speakers. Similar to what I'm doing right now, being a remote speaker, but perhaps more live to a face-to-face audience is also another type of format of a hybrid meeting. In addition, it's connecting multiple offices or multiple sites. We're seeing the increase in different sites, multi-sites, small, intimate sites that are having their mini, kind of a mini event, and then they're all trying to connect in a way via some type of studio and connecting back and forth with different messaging in between. So that is also in the emergence. So wanted to let you know about those 4 broadcasts, or those 4 types of hybrid meetings. There are many other variations out there, but to actually sum it down to about 4 types, those are what that research came out with. So what I want to do now is pretty much jump into the 7 ways to engage your audience via social media. So the first way that I have is to determine your attendee type. After you've determined your goals and objectives for the conference, perhaps you have already determined the attendees that will attend. One of the questions are all of the attendees going to be there face-to-face? And if they're not going to be there face-to-face, how will they be participating in your conference? That's very important. There's some people that if they're doing a citywide convention and they have a main speaker perhaps people can't get to the main speaker and they're connecting via their hotel room. Some people at some smaller conferences for an organization might be participating in a hybrid meeting in their home, or some might be in a regional office, and perhaps there's a way to connect several people from that office in a room that they're able to see the message that you're trying to present. So regardless of what circumstance you might have, it's very important to determine what that attendee type is. And then that will, in step-by-step be able to help you realize how you can engage that person or that group of people that is online. So determining your attendee type is the first step, and it's a very integral step of the process. The second step is determining the format. Now, I just went over with you the 4 formats that research did bring up, but it's really important to determine the format that's specific to your organization or to your event and what's going to work for your event and what you're looking at. It's very important to do that at the front end of the process versus at the tail end of the process. I think that sometimes as meeting planners we are designing the event and then there's a need that comes up after while we're in the design process, probably 75% of the way, and they say, oh, we want to stream in the speaker, or we want to do a couple things with this content. And it's nice to know it on the front end, because sometimes as you're coordinating, it can make the people who are online feel as though that they are an add-on, and you don't want that to happen. So it's really important to determine what that format is and how it's going to work for your particular situation. The third thing is to define the content and the response outcomes. So when defining the content, it's very important to try to get your stakeholders or your organization or people you're working with to understand that there are specific items that need to be communicated via hybrid meeting, and it's important to identify what those are. Sometimes you're having a multi-day, all-day event, 3-day event, and you don't want that whole thing streaming live, or maybe you do, but you just really want to determine the key points that you want to actually go. It's really crucial to probably have 1-hour segments or less with hybrid meetings. And if you do get into more than an hour, or if you're trying to really kind of keep people queued in for a whole day, it's not really recommended, but it has been done. But I know that a lot of the experts say that's probably not the best way to handle a hybrid meeting. It's really probably more important to determine what information is the most crucial that you want them to get out of that event. And if that's going to be communicated via a keynote speaker, via your CEO, then you design the content to be able to have the most crucial part of that event to be communicated at a certain point in time. And then that way, when attendees are joining you via your hybrid meeting, they are getting those key nuggets that you want them to walk away from. So that's why it's really important to determine ahead of time, because you really want to be designing your content around the whole attendee experience, both face-to-face and online. So designing that content where they're going to be participating is the most integral part, is very important. And then response outcomes. How do you want them to be participating in the meeting? So that just means, are they going to be able to answer questions? Are they going to be able to be participatory, just like people that are in the face-to-face meeting going to be? That's very important and something that you need to know. And it's also probably something that's going to determine what type of technology you're going to use as well to handle your hybrid meeting. So definitely take a look at that. Are you showing slides? Are slides very important? Is that something that you want them to see the slides in sequence as the speaker is speaking? Do you have handouts? How are you going to get those handouts to them? Are you encouraging feedback via questions and answers? Is that going to be handled on the site? Um, so those are very important questions to ask yourself and to ask of the people that you're working with, so that you can really have a great attendee experience overall. The fourth thing I have is having a dedicated moderator. I think this is very important. I think regardless if you do have a meeting that is going to be lots of questions and answers handled online or not, it's very important to have an online moderator. I know for me, I have attended many hybrid meetings where no moderator was there, and I just joined, and let's say I had a technical difficulty and I tried to type it in the little chat and I wasn't heard, you know. So I know, number one, there's not anybody there to handle that, or maybe the speaker is doing the same thing as being the moderator, and it just doesn't make you feel like you're really an attendee. You start to feel really, really virtual at that point in time. So I think having an online moderator is very important. If not only to answer questions, to just make sure there's no technical difficulties. There's a lot of things when you're handling these type of meetings that can occur. There's audio problems with just being able to hear what's happening on the other side of that camera. There also are visual problems sometimes when you're streaming live video. So you just want to make sure that there's a person there to check all of these elements to make sure they're coming across okay. And then just to communicate with the attendees whether or not it's a good fit. So if there's technical difficulties, just make sure that they're saying, hey, you know, we're going through some audio difficulties, so we'll be right back, or, you know, those type of things. It's really comforting to the person on the other side to know that they are aware of the problems that are occurring. In addition, online moderators are very, very important to have when you're, you know, when you're doing any chats, or if you are having questions and answers in the room, maybe online you want to actually get questions and answers as well. So making sure that moderator is there to, you know, to answer those questions, to let them know that, you know, either there's a break coming up, to let them know that that their answers are heard and maybe they're going to be held for the end. Just to be engaged with that audience. You definitely want to make sure that there's somebody there. Sometimes negative remarks can come out of online chat, you know, the chats that happen. So you want to make sure that you are, you want to make sure that you're handling those well, that you're appeasing the crowd, or that you're helping them, you know, be positive as well. The fifth thing that I have is integrate interactive tools. So social media, very important. There's many ways to engage your audience via social media. Twitter is a really great bridge the gapper, I guess, so that people in your meeting room, as well as people outside of your meeting room, can both communicate together via Twitter and be able to see the feed, and you can have that feed displayed online. As well as any other social media questions and answers. Maybe polling. Maybe you're doing some polling with your attendees in your meeting and then outside of your meeting. So just, you know, make sure that you are incorporating those type of tools with your meeting, and that just really helps the virtual audience just be more engaged into what's going on. And, you know, also having that moderator there really helps kind of push things forward as well. Number 6 is pay attention to the audience. Don't forget about them. They're there. So even if there's, you know, long spans of not necessarily silence, but content that's being displayed, make sure the moderator is kind of coming in and out, just saying, are there any questions, or you know, just letting them know what's going on in the room, just so that they are kind of aware of that moderator's presence, and that they know they're not forgotten about. So just make sure you pay attention to the audience. And then finally, we have long meetings require additional care. There is, when you do have long meetings, when you're trying to do a 3-hour training session online, that is kind of tough. Wouldn't recommend it, but if you definitely have to do it, you know, make sure that you break it up if the people in the room are getting a break, make sure the people online are getting a break too. And then also make sure that you kind of engage the audience in a way during those breaks. So maybe you have a sponsor come up and do a quick commercial, or maybe you have a sponsor come up and speak to their product, or maybe you even have like a leader from a particular division come up and just address the online audience. But do something to bridge the gap of having that attendee online at a webinar for 3 hours. It can really be cumbersome. So definitely try to do that. So those are the 7 ways to engage your audience in hybrid meetings. I hope that those steps or those ways really helped you to basically look at your hybrid meeting in a different manner and give you some type of ideas on how to engage your audience as you're kind of thinking and entering this world of hybrid meetings. I wanted to let you know that if you have any questions, even right now, you can tweet me at on Twitter. I'm on Twitter a lot, so if you want, I'm at NaoTuck, so the at symbol and then NaOTUCK. You can follow me or just send me a quick question there, and I'll be sure to answer it today. You can also email me, and my email is ntuckercmp@gmail.com. So feel free to email me from your smartphone or whatever today, and I'll be able to email you back and answer your questions. You can also, shoot me, kind of connect to me on LinkedIn if you want, and I'll just be happy to chat with you. We do many meetings at Humana that are hybrid, and I, am really interested to hear what you have, what you're experiencing out there. This is rapidly developing area, and I think that pulling from different planners and being able to learn off of different planners are really important. So definitely connect to me and let me know how you're doing out there, and if you've done anything in a different way, or if you've engaged your audience in a different way that you feel like that can be added to some of what I have here. It would be awesome to hear that from you. So just wanted to say thank you so much for having me here again. It was really my pleasure to be able to design this for you and to record it for you and make it available to you. This is a YouTube video, so if you do need to refer to it after this conference, feel free to do that, and I just really appreciate it. So thank you, and have a wonderful rest of your conference. Have a great day. Bye, guys.